What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today is a Patreon Friday, so you know what that means. We have Crankshaft, aka ZF, coming in with our 4 samples. If you don't already, check me out on Patreon if you want to help support the channel, if you want to be a part of videos like this, if you want to be a part of special Discord, check us out on Patreon, Bourbon of the Week. If you want to be part of our regular Discord, check out the link in the description below. But I'm going to pour these up, and let's get into this right away. So here we go. Here's the deal. A couple of months ago, I sent my Patreons 4 samples of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof because I can't stand the stuff, and they got together outside of me knowing, and they all sent me some samples of stuff from their own collection for me to try, figure out, and then rank to see if I like it, if I love it, if I hate it, and that's what we've got here from another Patreon. So we're going to try these from A to D. We're going to see which ones we like. We're going to guess along the way if we think we know what it is, and we're going to rank them. We're going to start over here with letter A. We'll go A from D. We'll write down some notes and we'll see what we've got. Enough of the intro though. Let's get right into it. Everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. Whew! That is good. So I'll tell you right now off of the rip, A tastes like, I don't know if these are ryes, bourbons, scotches. There were no rules put in place when we first got these. I'm going to assume they're in that rye bourbon world. But again, I don't know. This one tastes like a rye. Smells like a rye, it tastes like a rye, it just has that rye effect. Extra spicy, but not overwhelming with the proof. So I'm going to guess that A is some type of either very high rye or a rye in general. And I'm going to put it in like 110 proof range. Tastes like it has a little bit of proof behind it. 1, when you smell it, you can get a little bit of ethanol. But 2, when you taste it, it's not overwhelming, but it's definitely got a little bit, usually when these flavors open up, that the way that they do, right, you can just tell it's got a little bit of heat behind it. They don't water it down or anything like that. This is a fantastic smell, a fantastic pour. I like this a lot, and that's just the first one we're getting started off of, which excites me for this entire lineup. There's even a really good sweetness on this, which makes me think like if it is a rye, it's probably like a 70% rye type of deal, and then a little bit of corn in there still, because the sweetness on the front, this is really, really good. This is something I talk about a lot on my channel about the balance, right? And normally I'm talking about bourbons when it comes to the balance on this. But this balance, if this is a rye or a high rye, it's just sweet rye. It starts out rye, which is why I thought it was a rye to begin with. Normally it starts out sweet, turns into the rye, and then tapers off with that spice, right? This starts out spicy, moves into some sweetness, has a little bit of oak at the end. This is just very, very well balanced. I like this a lot. I don't want to jump to conclusions here. We haven't drank the other 3, but A is already hitting hard very quickly that this is going to be my favorite one. That is absolutely fantastic. Again, I'm going to say if it's in like that 70% rye range, maybe like a 15% corn, right? Something like that on there, leaving a little bit of malted barley for us. But A is starting off very strong. Let's see what B's got. Ooh, B's got a funky smell off the rip. That is a funky smell compared to this one. Probably more of a bourbon smell. I stopped drinking water in between these because it really dilutes it. Even if you're just cleansing your palate, I've realized that it dilutes the flavor on the next one. I can usually pick up, unless they're extremely similar, you can pick up the discrepancies between the two, and I think it actually helps me a little bit more because if I use water, I clear the palate, then I'm almost starting new, and I'm watering the second sample down. This way, I'm just running off of what I already know from the first one and changing my opinion on the second. Is there alcohol on that? The first one, I didn't even guess a proof. I'm going to guess in like the 112 to 115 range. Number 2 is there's no alcohol. I'm going to say it's a bourbon. That's crazy weird. It's dark enough to make me believe that it has some age. And I also thought it was going to be a little bit higher proof with that color, but there is just no alcohol kick compared to number 1 on this. Maybe this is a wheated. Maybe it's a wheated bourbon. It's really toning down everything with that sweetness, but 85 proof. 85 proof bourbon in that like 80% corn range. Because there maybe a wheated. Maybe it's 75%, but it's wheat. There's just no ethanol kick on that. I like that a lot too. We talk about price, taste, drinkability on the top all the time on the channel. Drinkability on this is a little bit higher. It would get a lower score because it's not as easy to drink. This might be the greatest drinkability I've ever had, unless this is an 80 proof. I mean, if this is like 95 to 100 proof, that is unbelievable. I'm saying it's 85 proof. I'm saying it's a lot of corn on that, and I'm saying it's a bourbon on that one. B, still fantastic, a little different. Not as much age on this either, which still, again, surprises me just because that color, it's not like it's translucent or anything. All right, I got to leave that one alone. That one's weird to me. Got to be a wheated bourbon. There's no way there's any rye in that. Let's get into C here. C smells fantastic too. Now, this is the one thing that I can't say I hate about it. I love it. This is the one thing I love about getting these samples is people want to send you their best stuff. And that's what I've gotten over the past couple of weeks. Some people's best stuff. Which means I'm putting 4 fantastic whiskeys up against each other and trying to figure out which one I like the best. And it's hard, which makes it a little bit easier because I can't be wrong, right? Not a lot of ethanol on that. A little bit more than B. Also think it's a bourbon. I'm going to say like 90, 92 proof. Still, maybe I'm just so off from the ethanol on this that these two are just different. B's definitely the lightest of the 3 so far. I've learned a little trick on my own, which nobody's ever really told me about. If you have these Glencairns and you put your nose in this, if you breathe into the glass, it's going to bring those flavors and those ethanols into your eyes a little bit. Now, I don't know if this is good for your eyes. I have contacts, but when you do that, if it's really light, it won't make your eyes water or anything. And if it's not light, you'll feel those ethanol vapors on your eyeballs. Don't do that. All I need is a lawsuit saying Bourbon of the Week told me to put ethanol on my eyeballs. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But you get what I mean. I breathe out and it hits your eyes and it makes them tear up a little bit. This one doesn't do that. I've also had a few drinks before this, so please don't take anything I ever say with anything but a grain of salt. That is fantastic. I'm going to say it's in that 92 proof range. I think A is 100% still my favorite. C and B are close, but I think I'm still giving it to B. And then let's get into D here. D is a good color here. I like that. Wait. Hold on. C, do I want to say that? C tastes toasted. Double oaked, not Woodford. C is double oaked. Some type of double oak. You can just figure it out. Let's get into D here. Let's figure this out. C's funky. Something's going on with C. D, on the other hand, D is a little funky too. D has some proof. Whoo! Does D have some proof? D is a traditional bourbon. Maybe like your 75, 13, 12, 75, 12, 13, somewhere in there. It's that same roller coaster ride you take with like a wild turkey or something like that, where it's just sweet, it's rye, it ends, it's full mouthfeel, everything that go in with a little bit of proof behind it, maybe like a cask strength or a barrel strength. I want to get back to C here though, because something intrigued me as I picked up D on C here. I'm getting a note, and I hate calling out specifics, because if I'm wrong, I look dumb, right? C is double oaked. C is some type of double oaked. It's finished in a second barrel. Double oaked, double finished, whatever you want to call it. I think toasted. Maybe it's toasted. It's not like a Basil's toasted. Is this Elijah Craig toasted? That's what this is. It might be Elijah Craig toasted. Little funk, little toast. Something's going on there. Something's in C that I'm not too sure about. But I'm going to call this, because this is very easy for me to call. Number 1, A, easy. This one, I said it's a rye. It's 115 proof, or 112 to 115 proof. 2 is between B and D. Maybe it's not as easy as I thought. 1, right? 2, 3, 4. That's where 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where we're going to put it. Let's get the results. Let's see what we've got going on here. Keep it short. Keep it simple. KISS. Where were we? Number 4 was C. C was... Ugh. So mad at myself. Michter's Toasted Bourbon 2021 release. Knew it was toasted. Something about it when I drank that last sip made me think that it was toasted. Now, I thought it was Elijah Craig toasted, which is probably why I put it down so far. I'm not a big fan of toasted. I haven't come across a bourbon, or a rye for that fact, that I've come across originally, then toasted, where I've liked the toasted better. That's just me. I think they're doing too much. I think it was good enough on its own. But D was number 3. That's this last one. Tumbling Dice. That makes sense, right? Tumbling Dice 6-year. Interesting. Good. Different. Don't know much about it. A Reddit pick. Apparently. 6 years, 118 proof. Up next was B, which was number 2, right? Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. That's interesting. I didn't get. I love it a lot. Everybody knows I love Wild Turkey. I have the Kentucky Spirit up here somewhere. It's on the top shelf. You probably can't see it in the video, but this is good. I love Kentucky Spirit, love Wild Turkey. This is a fine wine and good spirits pick, which is the exact same pick that I have. That's very good. Just Wild Turkey, just overall, always crushes it. B is very good. Glad I got a sample of that because I do kind of want to compare the rest of what I have to the rest of what I have on the shelf here. But number 1 and A is Old Forester Single Barrel Strength Rye, 128.4. That's almost 130 proof. Warehouse G, floor 3. I looked for this bottle here in Pennsylvania. It dropped online. It dropped in the stores. It was all over the place. I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get my hands on it. Wanted to try it. Love it. That is fantastic. Old Forester has slowly crept into my number 2 favorite distillery, and it's Wild Turkey, Old Forester. That's where I'm at right now. I know there's a lot more to explore, but I really wanted to try this bottle, and I'm really glad that I got to because that is a fantastic pour. And at 130 proof almost, me guessing in that 112 to 115 range, you really can't beat that. Thank you, Crankshaft. Thank you, ZF, for sending me this flight. I'm going to finish these up here, and I'm probably going to pour a couple more of these. But that's where we're going to leave you for today. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. we drop an image of the bourbon that we're going to review. You can go on and try and guess the score. If you guess the closest, I'll give you a shout out on the channel, as well as enter you in some monthly drawings for some cool prizes such as custom Glencairns. We've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, all kinds of stuff. If you want to support the channel financially, check us out on Patreon at Bourbon of the Week on Patreon. You can be part of cool videos like this. We have a strictly only Patreons group on our Discord, but if you don't want to do that, check us out on Discord anyway. We chat 24/7 about bourbon. You can come on and chat with us all of the time. Always, please drink responsibly. Click that like, click that subscribe button to help support the channel as well. Don't drink and drive, drink responsibly, and as always, stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all.